You know, a lot of folks ask questions to me about the special operations community, and in particular, how special operators do their missions. For example, how do special operators go into a target compound where bad guys are waiting on the other side, you know, go through the wall, go through the breach point, take that target down when they know there's going to be violence, they know there's going to be chaos and explosions and casualties and friendlies on the other side who are innocents, and they have to do discriminate shooting. How do you wade into that chaos that most people would go the other direction from? And whether they're Army Rangers, Navy SEALs, Green Berets, the reality is the same. They train. They have a deeper and better relationship with practice than anyone around them. They are able to get into a state of flow. Wes and I were talking about that this morning from The Rise of Superman. That is similar to what extreme athletes do when the stakes are life and death. You know, that's ultimate performance. If high performance is what professional athletes do and things like that, ultimate performance is when you get into a state of flow in that zone, right, where you just get it done, but the stakes are life and death, where a mistake would kill you. But to get there, you have to train. You have to have a deeper relationship with practice, and that's what special operators do. They do so many reps on a target. They do, you know, tape drills where they tape out the dimensions of the floor and they flow through over and over again. They do crawl, walk, run where they incrementally build up their speed. They introduce live fire ammunition. They do the operation at night. They introduce complexities like contingency plans and casualties. I mean, you name it. So by the time that they actually execute the mission, that performance is like second nature. It is literally in their body. We call it muscle memory, but it's really even deeper than that. And it's that art of practice that I really want to talk about this week, because my question to you is this: what if you had that kind of relationship to practice in the things that you had to do in your life, in particular with the human connections that you had to make in your life, the leadership requirements that you had to do in the day-to-day of your job, or how you do your sales, or how you talk to the boss or your clients? Imagine that. If you had that kind of life and death intensity and relationship with practice, how would that show up when you have to do the kinds of high-stakes engagements, no-fail engagements that you have to do in your day-to-day work? Man, I'm telling you, I believe that rooftop leaders have a better relationship with practice than anybody else. I believe it is absolutely possible for anyone in any discipline to have that kind of mindset when it comes to practice, but you've got to be willing to work at it. You've got to be willing to make connections as if your life depends on it, right? Because, you know, just the same way that special operators go into a target, when Green Berets or Navy SEALs go into a potentially hostile village and meet with tribal elders, it's just as high stakes, right? And they have to have that same kind of connection intensity. That's what I'm asking you to do when you practice for your briefings to the boss, when you practice for your sales presentations, when you practice to get on the stage. If you do that, it has a certain flow to it, a certain connection capacity that people just can't look away from you. They cannot dismiss you. It is immensely, immensely powerful. So, what do we do to do that, right? How do you do that? What I would like you to think about when you have to do engagements, right? When you have to do high stakes engagements where the stakes are high and risk is high, I want you to think about it this way. I want you to think about it like it is a triangle, right? You're the teller or the presenter up at the top of the triangle, and then down at the sides is your story or your presentation, and on the other side of the triangle is your audience, your boss, your listener, your client. You as the teller or the presenter, you have to have a direct relationship with your story and a direct relationship with your audience. The audience down here also has a direct relationship with your story. They're the ones who get to decide whether they buy your presentation or your vision or your story. But here's what I've learned. The deeper your connection with your story, your PowerPoint presentation, your sales pitch, and the deeper your relationship with the audience, the eye contact, the human connection, the empathy, the better the chances down here that the audience will directly choose your story. And that's how it goes. And that is where the art of practice comes in. Here's some tips that I would encourage you to do when it comes to practicing human connection. Number one, practice your story, your presentation, your PowerPoint pitch on your own. No one does this anymore. The most people will do is they'll look at it, right, and see if the slides are in order or whatever. But I mean, actually get on your feet and practice what you're going to say. That is the essence of narrative competence. Then I want you to practice it in front of people. Wes, as a performer, he practices on his own all the time, but I guarantee you he's getting in front of people all the time. My dad's doing a TEDx talk at 74 years old. He practices in front of people all the time. If you stand still for more than 3 seconds, you're getting a TEDx talk from Rex, right? Because he knows the value of performing in front of people. It really adds a level of complexity and intensity to it, and it makes it realistic. Number 3, movement is key. Whenever you are performing or practicing delivering a speech, delivering a story, delivering a sales pitch or a PowerPoint presentation, I want you to move a little bit. Don't just stand there. And I want you to pay attention to the movement that you do. Your movements should be deliberate, not wavering back and forth or drifting or shuffling. That shows that you're not grounded and you don't trust yourself. We can't trust you. So practice how you move. Number 4, breath is key. Your breathing is absolutely essential. Breath is what grounds you. Breath is what allows you to connect with other people and just be with your audience. So practice good horizontal breathing while you give your talk. What does that look like? Expand your belly on the inhale. Squeeze belly to spine on the exhale. That's a horizontal breath. Don't do this vertical breath or you're only getting about 1/6 of the oxygen that your lungs ought to have, which means you cannot project your idea. Ideas are carried on our breath. And the more we breathe and practice that good horizontal breathing, the more we can just be with our audience and connect. Eye contact. When you're in the room, you want to be able to look at one person, make a connection, and then go to the next one. Don't buy into all this back of the room stuff or imagining the audience naked. No one can take that kind of trauma, right? Just focus on one person at a time, make a connection. They got me. Okay, I'm moving to the next. Get in the habit of doing that when you practice. Whether you're giving a talk in the boardroom or in the auditorium, it works. The next thing is reps, reps, and reps. I want you to go through your presentation, your story, multiple times, at least 6 times for a 1-hour presentation. At least 6 times for a 1-hour presentation. If you do that, that story, that presentation, that sales offer will be so down in your bones and your solar plexus that your body will convey it. And when our body conveys a story, that is 60% of human connection. Our voice tonality will give off the other 30%, right? So 90% of the human connection that you want comes from those reps and it being in your body and your voice tone. And you only get through that through doing reps, right? This is not rote memorization. That's not what I'm talking about. I was just talking with Eric, one of my coaching students who's giving a TEDx talk. And I was like, you don't want to just do rote memorization. That is a speech. That is canned. You're in your head and people see it. I'm talking about reps where you do the story so many times that it's in your body, and when you walk out on the stage, you are just fully expressed and you can play, as Bo Eason says. If you're going to do PowerPoint, and God, I hate PowerPoint. I did it for 2+ decades. I think it is one of the worst communication tools on the planet. But if you're going to do it, I get it. I know it's out there. I would ask you to lead with a story. Even if you're going to do PowerPoint, lead with a story. So when you're doing your practice the story that you will lead off your PowerPoint with. And let me tell you something. All that raw data and stuff that's in your PowerPoint, people will not listen to raw data and process it. They have to have a make sense kind of thing with narrative before they'll listen to the data. If your story is solid, it'll go right through the listener's neural set, their neural net, and it'll go right to the limbic brain that makes the big decisions. And that raw data and that logic will land the way it needs to do. So practice the story that precedes even the most mundane left brain presentation. And then finally, put the work in when nobody's around. Be willing to do the work that nobody else will do. I think it was Michael Phelps that said, what you do in the darkness will determine how you show up in the sunlight. And I'll just tell you, the same way those special operators trained to go in those buildings, rep after rep after rep, if you'll put the same intensity, the same life and death mindset into a human connection, you'll be amazed at how you'll show up in front of people and the strategic results that will follow. It's the most authentic form of communication in the world. It's actually what we're designed to do. Practice your communications and see what happens. Don't forget to join our Rooftop Leadership community. If you want to learn how to do this kind of deep practice, first of all, we're going to have a storytelling workshop, a really cool one in April of 2019, just a few miles from here down in Tampa, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, join Rooftop Leadership Mastery, rooftopleadership.com/mastery. For about $50 a month, you can get in there and learn all kinds of cool techniques to practice. I just did a Facebook Live into our team room a few minutes ago and gave the guys and girls work to do, right? So you'll get deep work on the stuff that I talk about in these video blogs. Your communication skills will get way better. You'll get access to Rooftop University, which is this cool archived multi-purpose platform, a one-stop learning platform for the mindset, skill set, and tool set of Rooftop Leadership, interpersonal communications, life and death storytelling, active listening, you name it, it's in there. You can do it at your pace. And monthly coaching calls. We have monthly coaching calls where you can get in, and we got one in a couple of nights, and you can get in there and we talk about these relevant topics at a very deep level, and you can interact directly with me on it for about $50 a month. So if you don't have the funds to do personal coaching, if you don't have the time to go to a live event, this is a highly interactive, powerful way to enhance your leadership and your interpersonal communication skill sets. And the return on investment is crazy good, right? So join us at rooftopleadership.com/mastery. Thanks for what you do, and I'll see you on the rooftop.